Jessie Vaughn was washing dishes in her cramped kitchen at 40 years old when she received a call that would change her life forever. On the other end of the line, her younger sister whispered with a trembling voice, "Jessie, you need to sit down. I just sold my Bitcoin for $2 million. At that moment, Jessie had no idea that in just 3 years she would be holding the keys to an 8-figure fortune, living in a mansion overlooking the ocean, and that her story would become one of the most extraordinary cases of financial transformation you've ever heard. But what happened between that phone call and the moment Jessie became a millionaire wasn't luck. It was a series of brave decisions that anyone watching this video can replicate today. Jessie Vaughn had always been the responsible daughter. At 40 years old, she worked as a human resources manager at a mid-sized company, earning a salary that barely covered her monthly bills in her modest suburban home. Every morning, she woke up at 6 in the morning, made instant coffee because she couldn't afford a decent coffee machine, and drove her 2008 Honda Civic through the same 45 minutes of traffic to the office. Her savings, $1,200 in a savings account that earned practically nothing, her dreams, stored in a drawer along with overdue bills and credit card statements. Jessie had always considered herself a practical person, risk-averse. Investments for her meant traditional savings and maybe, on her most adventurous days, a certificate of deposit. When she heard about Bitcoin on television, she would roll her eyes and change the channel. Virtual money, she thought, that's something for young programmers or scammers. Her financial life was predictable, safe, and completely stagnant. But that phone call from her sister changed everything. After hanging up, Jessie stood in the kitchen for 20 minutes, staring blankly at the wall. Her sister, 3 years younger, had always been the irresponsible one in the family. While Jessie followed the traditional path, college, stable job, 30-year mortgage, her sister jumped from job to job, lived in rentals, and spent money on nonsense. And now she was a millionaire. That night, Jessie couldn't sleep. For the first time in years, she questioned every financial decision she had made. At 3 in the morning, she was on the computer researching Bitcoin. What she found left her even more confused. Incomprehensible charts, technical terminology that seemed like another language, stories of people who lost everything, and others who became rich overnight. It was a completely new and frightening world. For 2 weeks, Jessie devoured everything about cryptocurrencies. She watched hundreds of YouTube videos, read articles until her eyes burned, participated in online forums where she felt like a lost child in an adult library. The more she learned, the more she realized she knew nothing. But one thing became clear: Bitcoin wasn't just virtual money. It was a financial revolution happening right under her nose. The decisive moment came on a rainy Tuesday. Jessie was eating lunch alone at the office when she received another call from her sister. "Jessie, did you study Bitcoin?" "I did," she replied, trying to sound casual. "Then you know we're still at the beginning of something gigantic. What do you have in savings?" Jessie hesitated. $1,200. Take half of that and buy Bitcoin today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Jessie hung up the phone with trembling hands. $600. It was almost half of her emergency savings. It was the money she kept for unexpected events, for car repairs, for a medical emergency. It was her safety net. And her sister was asking her to bet it all on something she couldn't even hold in her hands. She spent the rest of the day torn between fear and curiosity. During the afternoon meeting, she couldn't concentrate. On the way home, she stopped in a shopping mall parking lot and spent 40 minutes inside the car, researching on her phone how to buy Bitcoin. She discovered she needed to create an account on an exchange, verify her identity, connect her bank account. Each step felt like a leap into the abyss. At 9 at night, Jessie was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open and her debit card in hand. She had created the account, verified her identity, and was one click away from making her first Bitcoin purchase. The value on the screen showed $600. Her hand hovered over the mouse. What if it's a scam? What if I lose everything? What if my sister is wrong? But then a stronger voice echoed in her mind. What if she's right? She clicked buy. In the first few days, Jessie checked Bitcoin's price every 5 minutes. She downloaded 3 different apps on her phone, set up alerts, created spreadsheets to track every cent of variation. When the price went up, she felt a euphoria she had never experienced. When it fell, her stomach churned and she regretted the decision. It was an emotional roller coaster that left her exhausted. 3 weeks after the first purchase, Jessie woke up to see that her $600 had become $800. $200 profit in less than a month, more than her savings account earned in an entire year. At that moment, something clicked in her mind. It wasn't about the money, it was about possibilities. For the first time in decades, Jessie glimpsed a future different from what she had planned. She began studying with even more intensity. She learned about blockchain, about mining, about different types of cryptocurrencies. She discovered that Bitcoin was just the tip of the iceberg of a technological revolution that was transforming the global financial system, and most importantly, she understood that she was participating in this revolution from the beginning. But the real test came 2 months later. Jessie woke up on a Saturday morning to see that Bitcoin had plummeted 30% overnight. Her $800 had become $560. She had lost not only the profit, but also part of the initial investment. The panic was instantaneous. She called her sister crying, "I told you it was too risky. I'm going to sell everything now before I lose more." Her sister was firm. "Jessie, did you study Bitcoin or not? Did you understand the technology or not? What's happening is normal. Bitcoin doesn't go up in a straight line. If you sell now, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." Jessie hung up still in panic but didn't sell. She spent the entire weekend researching volatility, market cycles, Bitcoin's history. She discovered that drops of 30, 40, even 50% were common, and that, historically, those who held longer always came out ahead. That weekend changed Jessie forever. She was no longer an emotional investor who reacted to every market movement. She had become an educated investor who understood what she owned. And more importantly, she had developed the long-term mindset that separates winners from losers in the cryptocurrency world. In the following months, Jessie implemented a strategy that would change her life. Every month, she allocated 20% of her salary to buy more Bitcoin. It didn't matter if the price was high or low. It didn't matter if the news was positive or negative. Every 5th day of the month, she bought more Bitcoin. It was a strategy called dollar cost averaging that she had learned in her research. To achieve that 20%, Jessie made sacrifices that her friends considered extreme. She cancelled cable TV, started bringing lunch to work every day, sold her car and began using public transportation, cut superfluous expenses she didn't even know she had. Her co-workers thought she was going through financial difficulties. In reality, she was building her financial freedom. The first year was the hardest. There were moments when Jessie doubted herself, especially when Bitcoin went through a 50% correction that lasted 3 months. Her friends and family didn't understand her obsession with virtual money. Her mother called, worried, "Jessie, are you okay? I heard that Bitcoin is a pyramid scheme." Co-workers made jokes, still believing in that fake currency. But Jessie had learned a fundamental lesson. People who haven't studied Bitcoin will always have negative opinions about Bitcoin, and opinions from uninformed people shouldn't influence financial decisions from informed people. She continued buying, month after month, ignoring external noise and focusing on her long-term strategy. The second year brought the first major reward. Jessie woke up one December morning to see that her portfolio had surpassed $50,000. $50,000. More money than she had saved in her entire life. More money than she earned in a year at her job. And she had achieved this by investing only a portion of her salary in something most people still considered speculation. But Jessie didn't stop. She had learned that Bitcoin was a long-term asset, and that the biggest gains came to those who had patience to wait. She continued her monthly strategy, now with even more conviction. She had proven to herself that her thesis was correct. The third year was when the magic really happened. Jessie watched her portfolio grow from $50,000 to $200,000, then to $500,000. On a November morning, 3 years and 2 months after the first $600 purchase, Jessie checked her portfolio and saw a number that made her sit on the bed. $1.2 million. Jessie Vaughn, at 43 years old, had become a millionaire. But the money was just the beginning of the transformation. Jessie had become a completely different person. The shy woman who was afraid to invest $600 now managed a seven-figure portfolio with confidence. The employee who passively accepted a mediocre salary now understood how money really worked. The person who lived paycheck to paycheck now had financial freedom to make choices based on passion, not necessity. Jessie quit her job on a Friday in December, not out of anger or frustration, but because she finally could. She had achieved something most people dream of, but never reach: the freedom to choose how to spend her time. She bought a beach house not for ostentation, but because she had always dreamed of waking up to the sound of waves. She started traveling, not to escape reality, but to celebrate the new reality she had created. But the most important lesson Jessie learned wasn't about money. It was about courage. Courage to question her limiting beliefs. Courage to study something new and complex. Courage to act even with fear. Courage to stay the course when everyone around doubted. Courage to believe in herself when no one else believed. Jessie discovered that Bitcoin wasn't just a financial technology. It was a character test. It separated people who were willing to study from those who preferred to opine without knowledge. It separated those who had long-term vision from those who wanted instant results. It separated those who were willing to leave their comfort zone from those who preferred the security of mediocrity. Today, Jessie Vaughn isn't just a millionaire. She's living proof that financial transformation is within reach of anyone willing to study, act, and persist. Her story isn't about luck or perfect timing. It's about financial education, discipline, and the courage to bet on herself when no one else would. The question that remains is, if Jessie managed to transform $600 into more than $1 million by studying and applying simple strategies, what's stopping you from starting your own journey? The Bitcoin that Jessie bought for a few $1,000s is now worth tens of thousands. But the opportunity hasn't ended. In fact, experts believe we're just at the beginning of a revolution that will transform the global financial system in the coming decades. Jessie Vaughn's story proves that you don't need to be young, rich, or a technology expert to benefit from the cryptocurrency revolution. You just need courage to start, discipline to continue, and wisdom not to give up when the path gets difficult. If you've made it this far, you've already shown more interest in your financial freedom than 99% of people. The only question left is, will you be another person who watches opportunities pass by, or will you be like Jessie and create your own transformation story? The financial future you deserve is one decision away, and that decision starts now.